I've been an artist. I've been an artist ever since before I knew I was an artist. Starting off in, I guess, kindergarten was my first time someone told me I was able to draw. My kindergarten teacher, she told me that one day I'd be an artist. Of course, I was 5 at the time, so I just thought she was being nice. But I didn't really get into art until high school. But like most teenagers, I knew everything I wanted to do with my life at 16, 17 years old. And at that time, I was working at Winn-Dixie, which was a local grocery store, in case you don't know what Winn-Dixie is. I was working at Winn-Dixie. I started off when I was like 14, 15 years old. As soon as I was old enough to get a permit, I went and got a job, and I'd bag groceries. Eventually, I moved up to cashier, and then they moved me to the deli. And at that time, that was going to be my life path. That's what I was going to do with my life. As I was going to have a career in the grocery store business. I wanted to eventually move up to store manager and eventually to a regional manager. And I had everything figured out. At least I thought I did. So how it happened was there was a girl I was dating at the time, and her dad was going to Carowinds to see if he could get a summer job as a maintenance man. And I had started taking art in high school, and I'd started doing caricatures, just for fun. I would draw the teachers, and I would draw my friends. But I had started doing caricatures, and he said, come with me down here to Carowinds. They're hiring caricature artists. And I was like, I can't do that. I'll never be able to do that mess. I'm by nature, I'm introverted, so I don't want to be around people. So, long story short, I called, and come to find out it was a concession company that was in Carowinds called Commons Art Shops. And I went down there and interviewed for the job, took some of my sketches, and they hired me. A guy named Dion Sosha. So Dion and Brad Bailey and all those guys were there. And my first day of work, I showed up for work, scared to death, didn't know what I was going to do. And I walk up, and I thought they were going to give me this long, lengthy training process. Dion says, there's the easel. This is the marker. The cap's on this end. Take it off. Go draw. I looked at him like he was crazy. You want me to go do a caricature in front of a live people? Scared shitless. Scared to death. I did not know what I was going to... I was literally... I could not hold the marker. I was shaking so bad. So I sat there, and I managed to draw a couple people. So he had me practice for about an hour. And then he says... And we were particularly busy that day. So he says, okay, start selling. And I sold my first day ever doing caricatures over $200 worth of sales. Everybody's jaw hit the floor. They're like, that's never happened with a new artist, especially on the first day. Of course, at the time, I didn't, I had no frame of reference, so I didn't know that was anything special. So, but needless to say, I really feel like I was born to do caricatures. The reason I say that is everything else I've done in life, artistically wise, nothing's really been successful. I've had some successes. I've done some illustration work here and there, and it's steadily grown. But my biggest success and things that keeps my lights paid, my rent paid, and keeps food on the table is the caricatures. And I went through a point in life to where, there again, at a younger age, after I realized that I could actually make art for a living, which blew my mind. I never did, people had always told me, hey, if you want to be rich, go to school and be a lawyer. If you want to have fun, be an artist. So I never dreamed that I would actually be able to make any type of sustainable living as an artist. But the caricatures has afforded me that. Style-wise, who has influenced me? Well, like most kids, I grew up reading Mad Magazine. I never really thought about doing that for a living, other than I just thought it was really neat that those guys could draw all those caricatures and make them so cool, make them look like the people, and they were so funny. But artistically, I guess my first influence would have been Commons art shops. I was trained in the Commons style of, which was Dino and Dion and Brad and all those guys. But after that, I expanded. I got into the Caricatures network. Worked for Ben Burgraff for a little while at the beach, and I picked up the chalk and glove technique from him, which incidentally I continued my career after the amusement parks. I opened my own business in Myrtle Beach and was there for about 10 years and did that technique, and had a lot of fun, met a lot of people. But after that, then after the beach was over and I met my wife, and she dragged me kicking and screaming back up to Kannapolis, which at the time I did not want to do, but I did it anyway, and glad I did, because it's let my business grow, and it continues to grow. I'm happy. I'm very happy with where I'm at. I always would like it to be more. I'd like to get into more illustration, but I can't really complain. I mean, like all artists, I have good months and bad months, but for the most part, I'm very happy with what I do, which I know a lot of people can't say about their job. My big claim to fame. I've given that a lot of thought, and I've come to the conclusion that I don't think there is any such thing as a big claim to fame or a big defining moment, except for maybe after my life's over. I think it's just a matter of you just keep plugging away at it, and you just keep working at it, and then you can look back and say, hey, look at all these cool things I've done. I've been on TV a few times. There was a show that they filmed in Myrtle Beach when I was there called The Baby Chase. It was on CNN. It was about families adopting children, and they had me doing her caricature on there. It was about 5-second clip, but at 22 years old, that was pretty cool. So a couple years ago, I got to be on a reality show called Outrageous Kids Parties. They were filming an episode here in Charlotte, and they had me on there doing a couple of my caricatures, and they also had me to paint a ice cream truck, which was the big reveal at the end of the show. Wasn't as glamorous as you would think, but hey, it was TV. Although it's cool to say I did it, I feel like that every day is a chance to be famous, to become more famous. This YouTube channel, I'm hoping this is not only going to help me, elevate my career, but all the other guys that I'm trying to help out on here. So I got into the scuba diving in 1999, and although it's totally opposite, it's not art at all, it's a big part of my life too. I like to say that there's been two major things in my life other than marriage and coming to know Jesus that's dictated the direction of my life, and that was the day I became an artist and the day I discovered diving. The diving, it feeds my artistic side. I get to see all the colors and all the fish and all the things like that, and feeds into, of course, the video stuff, which then this does too. This is all part of being creative for me. Well, like everybody, I want to be remembered. When I think about famous artists and I think about the people that you remember, you think about Michelangelo, and you think about Monet and all those guys. Yeah, you remember their art, but you don't remember a whole lot about their personalities. The only one that people really remember is Van Gogh, because he cut his ear off. And I spent the first part of my life, I did a lot of stupid things. I've had my struggle with my anger issues, where I'd get mad and it would get me in trouble. So, but I don't want to be remembered for that. I want to be remembered for the guy who did things that tried to inspire people, whether it's doing caricatures, whether it's doing video, whether it's my scuba diving. Everything that I do from a heart of, hey, I want this to inspire somebody. I want this to be something that causes you to decide to do something positive with your life. Because I came from humble beginnings. I grew up poor. My father had a drinking problem. My mother spent her life as a victim. But I'm not a victim. I'm a victor. And that's the final piece of advice I would give to anybody is take what gifts God gives you and use them. Because to me that is a sin. So use your gifts, get off your ass, enjoy your life. Don't let everyone else dictate your life for you. You dictate your life. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.